Thank you, Madam Chairman, and thank all of you for being here. Thank our presenters, and to Maria and Elise, thank you all for sharing your stories with us. Maybe one question real quick for both of you. What would you think is something most people don't understand about diabetes, as far as childhood diabetes? Something that they just don't understand. Unless your families and you all live with it, no one else would understand that. Anything very quickly?
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't understand that it's ongoing. You never get a break from it. You can't ever just say, I don't feel like doing this today. And a lot of people get it confused with type 2 diabetes, which is really frustrating because it's not something we ever wanted to live with. We were given it. And I think that's just really frustrating, especially as children here. A lot of adults don't want to give time to listen to us all the time, and even though some of the times we know.
You keep telling your story, okay? Yeah. Maria?
I think that, and I feel that the kids in my school, at least, they think that I don't need my CGM and my pump on all the time, and they just come and like poke at it and touch it. Yeah. And when the nurse comes up to my classroom, they always crowd around me when my blood sugar is going up or down.
Well, honey, you just keep talking. You just keep explaining to them. Trust me, they want to know, and I'm sure most people want to help. But understanding is the most important thing, and educating them is something you can do and nobody else can do. And I think you never give up and never be ashamed. Make sure that you make people understand what we all can do working together. I want to also recognize Mr. Chris Ward from Charlestown, West Virginia. He's here today, and I want to thank him. Let me say this to all the family members. Thank you all for the support you give your loved ones and what you do every day, because people don't understand. And there's not a family in America that's not been affected one way or another with diabetes. Not one family doesn't have someone in their immediate family, extended family, or close relation. To all of you, let me just say, you're the hope of America. You're sitting here today. You're our hope. I think there's going to be many of you sitting where we're sitting right now, wondering how you can make life better, how you can improve the quality of life. And that's what we're trying to do. We want to make sure that you have the greatest opportunity that anybody in any generation has ever had. We can only do that if you're healthy. And we want to make sure you have that opportunity. But I want to make sure you understand you have to live and grow to be a living, loving, caring adult and give something back. You have a lot to share with a lot of people, how they can live a better life. And as you grow and become responsible for that, you're going to be sharing the greatest gift that you have, and that is the knowledge of knowing the challenges some people have that people don't understand. They just don't. And you being here today, sharing that with us, makes the difference of what we do and support. There's not a person here, Republican or Democrat. You hear a lot about politics. You have united Congress. You made us all understanding. It's not about politics. It is about each individual having the opportunity for quality of life. That's what you're here. That's what you're accomplishing today. And I hope that you understand making the effort to come here today makes a big difference in what we do and how we do our job, and how important it is that we do it as quickly as humanly possible. We had a piece of legislation called the Inflation Reduction Act, which put a cap at $35. We tried to cap all across the board, everybody. No one would ever pay more than $35. We're achieving it a little bit at a time. We got Medicare first. Now we got some companies that were shamed into knowing that they're making excessive profits to come down to 35. We want to make sure that we have a piece of legislation that does it. And I want to thank the chairwoman, my good friend from Maine, and also my good friend from Washington, the state of Washington, for what they have done in leading this cause and the charge. And I would say one final thing, Dr. Rogers, on the TEDdy program. That's a very important program. My state of West Virginia has the largest percentage of adult diabetes in the country. We're over 16% of our population has adult, when the national average is about 10%. Can you tell me how that affects in the families and what we can do, and how TEDdy is working to also, I've always said this, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but you can teach a young pup tricks that can help the old dogs. And that's what we've got to do. And these kids can basically help educate a population doesn't know how effective it is.
Well, that's another. Teddy is certainly one of these studies that I want to emphasize your points that this is something that families are very much involved. This study identifies kids from birth. They come in periodically, several times a year in the first few years, and then maybe 3 times a year and a quarter, bringing all types of samples, urine, stool, saliva, with very detailed record of when they had colds and
Sure.
whether they received vaccines and the like. So it really is quite labor intensive. But the product of that study is really going to inform us greatly in terms of what some of those triggers are. So Teddy, again, an acronym, the environmental determinants of diabetes of the young. We're going to learn quite a bit from that, and I would say probably within the next few years. So really stay tuned. And what we learn about that, I think, might give us clues for other autoimmune diseases. That's why I'm saying this SDP is really having benefits beyond its intended purpose. So really stick with it, and again, we really appreciate all of your support, as I'm sure the population in your state does your support.
Yeah, well, let me say this to all of you. Thank you for being here today. You live in the greatest country in the world, the United States of America. And it's not the divided states, it's the United States. Today, you've helped unite us more than you know, making the effort to be here. I want God to bless each and every one of you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.